Okay. I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, great. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom. I know some familiar faces, some new faces. It's always a lot of fun. So I'm here. I'm here from Norway, actually. But I'm moving here now. I'm actually been. I got my green card 2 years ago. But I was actually back in Norway last week. My mother turned 80, and it was a big party, and it was freezing cold. I mean, this is nice and warm compared to the climate over there. So that's the one thing I really like about. Well, one of a lot of things I really like about Texas is it doesn't get as cold as over there. So there you go. Well, my background is from newspaper production, and I used to work for Computer World Norway over there. But for the last 10 years or so, I've mainly been doing working as an instructor, teaching Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. And I'm a certified instructor in all those programs, including, well, plus Acrobat and, well, a few other things, actually. But so I'm setting up, well, I'm actually working for course centers over here, like Lumenbright. Some news that will be breaking early next year. It's going to be a new course center in town. At this point, I can't disclose too much about it, but at this point, we are actually looking for instructors. Anybody who want to teach something like this, or the other Adobe programs, or other creative programs, and have cool ideas for courses, spread the word. And here's my, no, it's not. Yeah, there it is, my email address. And I got some cards over here as well. So feel free to spread the word. It's an opportunity for anybody who wants to teach. And well, I'm also a textbook author, and mainly in Norwegian. Got a couple of my publications over here. Some of them are in English, actually. And I do design work and also authoring and also translation work, as it were. I'm trying to keep myself busy. All right. So, okay. So let's move on to what's the topic of the day. When they started the cloud thing, something weird happened. And it was especially bad for an instructor because we used to having a new version like every 1.5, 2 years. And you could basically stick to your script and do the teaching and the files and everything. But not anymore. You can actually come to work one morning and you fire up the program and everything has changed. Like when they introduced that start experience screen, my goodness, I was in trouble because I was going to teach and, well, what is this? And soon I started teaching people how to get rid of it, but now I'm actually starting to like it. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk a little bit about today. And as you were about a month ago, we got a completely new version. They skipped 2016 altogether in the naming system there, which is probably good. Now it's more like cars. We got the 2017 model already out here. So and there's a lot of new things, but for every little, well, it's like three to four upgrades every year. And I recommend everybody to keep them going. Don't hesitate. Just do the upgrade. Even though you might get a few surprises because some stuff will move around and you find it again in a new position or something like that. All right, so here's just some of the things that have been happening over the last year or so. Some of these things have been, coming, little changes for every little upgrade. Some of them are brand new. And you might have noticed, they're constantly developing the user interface. I'll talk a little bit about that today. And it's adjusting now for the high resolution screens and also for touch screens and stuff like that. So it's constantly changing. And they did a tiny little change. Well, I think it was this. Well, it was this year anyway, this summer or this fall, where everything got a little bigger. There's a little more space everywhere, and that's very, very helpful for the strain on your eyes. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And of course, you have I have a touchscreen here, so if everything is working the way it's supposed to, I'm actually going to show you a few of those touchscreen features as well that has been popping up here. All three programs. It's not really fair. I'm trying to here just indicate, what programs are mainly affected by these changes, and of course most of them are. And it's not really fair because Photoshop does support touchscreen. It doesn't have, but it doesn't have a separate, like a designated user interface for it. But it does support a number of tablets. And you have Photoshop for iPad, so of course they do support touchscreens as well. And there's a lot of new stuff here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the stock photos. Of course, that's not free. It's free to become a member and start searching, and you can use the low resolution placeholders, but then you'll have to purchase. You have to pay for the license to use them. The stock photos.
Oh,
That's a huge asset, actually. Whether you've been using iStock Photo or what they call all of them, Shutterstock, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of them have the same pictures too, to share. But anyway, Adobe bought, I even forgot the name, one of them, and they're merged them together a little bit there. Now, the cool thing is, if you want to purchase from this place, you can actually, at least in Illustrator and InDesign now, you can actually purchase the license right there in the layout. Just click this little symbol, and whoops, your money's gone and your picture is downloaded in high resolution. It's awesome. And a lot of these changes are really weird for people like myself who've been working online since I actually started Photoshop version 2. And we didn't have layers. Can you remember that? I shouldn't indicate how old I really am, but that says something.
so does me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But anyway, all this online stuff and all the cloud stuff and all the Creative Cloud libraries, I have actually problems. I have had problems, and I still have problems using the Creative Cloud libraries. And I'm not sure. I'm very curious about your experiences here, but I'm going to try using a little bit, and I know there's got a great potential. So I'm not going to I'm not going to put them down at this point at all. But I do have problems using it in a productivity, from a workflow and productivity viewpoint. But the idea, I like the idea. And especially in a collaborative group, you want to work together. You don't have to be in the same location. You can share assets between all the programs and also between your group. Okay, this fall, something we've been missing a long time. You got new templates for Photoshop and Illustrator. I'm going to show you some of those. InDesign will hopefully follow suit, in the next step too. It's like a elevators here, Photoshop is a little bit ahead here, and Illustrator there, and then comes in InDesign, and they're not always in sync. Actually, InDesign was the last one to get the CC library handled. And it doesn't matter, but they will all catch up sooner or later. But templates for Photoshop and Illustrator is a great new thing. And then you're going to export this to all kinds of external uses, especially for use in apps and icons and symbols and even mock-ups for web pages and stuff like that. It's been improved big time. I'm going to try to show you a bit of that as well. And also, actually, a new addition to the Typekit. Typekit is an online collection of fonts that are not free. They seem to be free, but they're included in your subscription. So you can download and use them as long as you want. I mean, as long as you pay. If you stop subscribing, your fonts will stop working as well. Mm-hmm. But you do actually have the Adobe Typekit thing has been collaborating with the commercial providers of fonts, and you can, little by little, you can actually start buying license from third parties in the Typekit as well. So that's just some of the news that affect more or less all of these programs, and I will go through the three of them and try to point out some of the coolest or at least the newest changes to all of those three programs. Yeah, question?
When you say the fonts stop working, does that mean you can't create a new with them, but if you created, because designs.
To my knowledge, they will definitely stop working.
So if you have a, say, you created a file version, like a PDF of a magazine or article with InDesign using the purchased fonts or subscribed fonts, then that you have PDF, what happens to
Well,
that?
the PDF will actually have the font or the shape of the letters, at least, stored inside of it. So the PDF will not change. And if you do the convert to outline, which I'm actually planning to show here later, it's an old function, but I'm going to use it in a context. Of course, you don't need the font anymore if you do that, but you can't edit the text either. But the deal is the fonts that you have installed through the Typekit thing, web page, will stop working at the same time as your programs will stop working. Because if you stop paying after a month or so, of course, your license will run out, and your fonts because the fonts are not installed in the system in a regular way. They're just like installed like temporary, and they will disappear. But at the same time, unless you saved your CDs, CS6 CDs, which is the last version where you can actually purchase a lifetime license. I mean, you'll not even be able to access your files unless you save them in a generic format like PDF or Jpeg or stuff like that. All right, so they got us. I mean, we can't stop subscribing, plain and simple. So I want to start here by see if I can move to my next slide here. Doesn't seem to want to do that. There we go. Got my little pixel vector comparison thing going here. And well, some of you were here a month ago. We were talking about, well, Veronica had an interesting presentation about the collaboration between Illustrator and Photoshop. And the question came out, what are pixels? What are vectors? So just want to say a few words. Pixels are little squares. Well, they're usually square. They don't have to be squares. They could be rectangles, actually, but they're always like 4 straight sides. So a pixel is the building block of digital images when they come from your phone or your digital camera or your scanner, or most pictures, most graphics you pull off the internet will also be in pixel format. And the characteristic, typical is it consists of tiny little squares. And when I zoom in on this pixel version of the sign here, you see that the edge is jagged. Like this is the point, you can actually see the edge pixel. But they're not semi-transparent. That's the way you can make it look smoother than they actually are, because they can actually be transparent, so they will mix with the background. These are not gray; they're actually transparent, mixed with a white background. So, and this is Photoshop's world. And this is where we talk about resolution. Because the resolution, in the purest meaning of the word, is the size of the pixels. And only that. Of course, we use the term resolution in a couple of different contexts, but like the number of pixels, my TV screen is like HD, is like 920 by 10 pixels, But think about it, my phone, this is my other one, has exactly that, 1920 by 10. And it's even smaller than that one. It's a Samsung S6 or whatever it's called. The thing about my 55-inch TV in my living room actually has exactly the same number of pixels. So obviously, pixels can have different sizes. And that's what's happening here. I'm zooming in, and you can see the pixels are exactly the same pixels, but they are getting bigger. So that's the resolution, and the resolution is measured in PPI, pixels per inch. So 72 pixels per inch, obviously, those are bigger than if resolution is like 300 pixels per inch. So moving over to the, just to
We said that the pixels were bigger in size when
the resolution is smaller, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Think about it, 1 inch. How many pixels can you fit in 1 inch? If it's like 10 pixels, they're pretty big. If it's 300 pixels in the same space, they got to be smaller. So PPI, or pixels per inches, is just denotes the size of the pixels. Well, let's just move over here to Photoshop just ever so quickly. And of course, I should have a picture here, and I didn't. So let me get it. Let me get this one. There you go. All right. So this is moving really slow now. I don't really know why. This is just a photograph. It's from a. I didn't take it. It's from a stock, from iStock photo, as it were. And of course, it consists of pixels. What I just did, I used a shortcut. I did the 100% view in Photoshop. And what does that mean? 100% of what? 100% means that every pixel in the image matches a screen pixel. That's the only measurement for 100%. So that's the only magnification in Photoshop you actually see the real picture, just the way it is. If I start zooming in here, and I can go on and on here and just keep zooming, and you'll see sooner or later, depending on also on the projector, I will be able to see the individual pixels, little squares. There are usually squares, but you can go up here on the view menu and actually stretch. I mean, if you're working with a widescreen TV kind of thing, you might want to stretch it all over. But anyway, here I even got a pixel gray. I can turn that on and off. But you can see the individual pixels, and they have only pixels can only have one color. You cannot have two colors. You cannot have any other shape than the four-sided.
What is the resolution of that image?
The resolution is, that's a good question, because, it's the size of the pixels. And a digital image may or may not have a predefined size of the pixels. And sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, and you place it into InDesign, it will just default to 72 pixels per inch, because you had to use a number. That's just the initial size when you place it in InDesign. And the deal is, if you make that picture smaller in InDesign, the number of pixels stay the same, but the pixels get smaller.
And if you make it bigger, the pixels expand.
Yeah, and the resolution gets lower. It could be a low, less than what it requires from the print shop. So the way you can take a look at this in Photoshop is on the image size. Oh no! I'm sorry. I'm trying not to touch. This is very fragile, and it's been working so well all day. It's the connection here, my little plug. Oh, please.
And I want to make the point that the commercial printer wants no less than 300.
Yeah, for.
No, there you go.
We're back.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to try not to touch the table. It's very hard to use the mouse without touching the table. But think about it. This is just, here it says 300 PPI. But I can mess that up. If I want to make a poster, I place this picture on the InDesign page, and I, enlarge it, I scale it up, that number will go down. It doesn't matter what it says here. It matters what it says, the effective PPI inside InDesign. I'm going to show you that later. But anyway, so the number of pixels you see here, that's what they in Photoshop world they call it pixel dimensions. That's the number of pixels. And that is normally fixed. But in this dialog box, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because that will take the rest of the day. But as long as you have this resample thing checked, you can actually change the number of pixels. But if you uncheck it, that option will go away. And the only thing you can do is the change is the initial size of those pixels. And it doesn't really change anything because it's the size you're actually using it in your layout. And remember, resolution and images, it only really makes any difference in terms of printing, because there's no resolution on the internet, just doesn't exist. Every web browser will ignore those settings inside the files, and if there's not, it will still display one pixel at one pixel. So there we go. So this is the world. This is the pixel world, and you can work with a lot of pixels at the same time. If I add a little, I can actually make them all lighter like this, or I can, enhance the contrast here and shift everything around. And I'm working with basically all or some of all those pixels at the same time. So that's the pixel world. It's different. So what about vectors? Well, vectors are just mathematically defined shapes, and a vector is just the outline. So, and a vector doesn't have to have a stroke or a fill or anything. It could be completely invisible. But you can still use it, and you can add like a stroke, you can add a fill, you can add a pattern, you can put a picture inside of it, or you can do like almost anything, and it's resolution independent. When I'm zooming in at the tip of this thing, you see it stays sharp. It's just the outline, the shape that is defined, and is defined with line segments between anchor points, and it's the direction and the length of the direction lines and the direction points that governs the shape of the segment between two anchor points. And all this, I put these words in here because people use all kinds of terms for these two kinds of graphics. Pixels is short for picture outline. And even, I think it was IBM back in the days, they even tried to, shorten it even more just to tell that that didn't really catch on. But some people call it raster images or bitmap images or dot or points and stuff like that. And a lot of these terms are not really very precise. So because dots per inch is not the same as pixels per inch. I'm not going to go there right now. We use dots per inch without hardware. Not pictures.
So that's an old printing.
Yes. Unfortunately, both somewhere in Photoshop and everywhere in programs like FrameMaker, it's also is from Adobe. They use DPI, consistently wrong everywhere. Right? So if you get people, you probably have to join them, but I don't like it. So that's why the first word here, pixel, is the most precise way to define that kind of graphics. Over here, we talk about vectors, we talk about path, curves, and you might have heard Bezier curves, as named after this French mathematician who he didn't invent it, but he was early defining the underlying math here that's going on that luckily you don't have to relate to it. Somebody else is taking care of that part. We call it outlines or line segments or line art. So there's a lot of interesting terms you can use, and let me see if I have, this is one. I did not draw this. I don't know how to draw, so I steal instead. Or no, I'm inspired by others. So you see when I zoom in here, it doesn't get blurry. It stays sharp like this. It's vectors. In Illustrator, you can go here and just view the outlines. You see the outline term is used here, and that will actually give you access to the actual shapes, and even if they're like covered, the fill of one object might obscure the other object, but if you turn on the outline view, you can actually go in here and you can access or select anything, in here. And you see the shapes here. It's see it is defined by these vectors, and I can pull and it's not hard to get started editing vectors. The hard part is to control it so you get the shape you want. So come to one of my classes and we'll have fun learning the pen tool. So and you can work in either way. Turn the preview back on. Of course, you can do anything here in terms of visual effects and stuff. But you do have all these drawing tools, including the pen tool. You have a lot of new ones as well, like the call it curvature tool. But the pen tool is easy as long as you want to do just, well, let me do this. As long as you're just doing straight lines, but it's when you want to have them curved, that's when it gets interesting. How can you control the shape of this thing? How can you actually get the shape that you really want? So that's it only takes a few minutes to get started, but then it's practice, over and over again there. And a vector shape can be closed or open, So I can actually go here and create a little arc like this, and I can just finish it there. And so it doesn't have to that's considered an open path, and this is considered a closed path. And either one can have a fill. Believe it or not, it's very unusual, but you get used to that pretty quickly. You can go here and I can fill this with a color, and it will actually try to guess like where the missing line is. But it's still an open path. So that's the vector part of it, you know. We're using all these terms over here. So, and that's Illustrator's domain, right? So what about InDesign? Where does InDesign fit in? Well, InDesign handles both kinds of graphics because, you know, InDesign is like the last station in the workflow. This is where everything comes together. You can add text. This is actually editable text over here. Of course, you could create something like this in the other two programs as well. But, I mean, if you're putting it all together here, the picture comes from Photoshop. The graphics down here comes from Illustrator. And you might be surprised how, what happened to the resolution independence? Well, this is just a fast display to save computing power. So I can go in here. I can either select the graphics itself, or I can apply this to my whole page or my whole document. I can actually switch to high resolution display, and then you will see that it will re-render the vector graphics without any visual pixels. And you can actually zoom in here basically as much as you want, and it will never get blurry. So it is indeed a vector file. And that leads me to the next little item here in the introduction, and is about, and that's another thing we did discuss a month ago. For those of you who were here, or I mean, if you were not, you will get it now anyway. You know, how do you want to? If I want to place this InDesign Illustrator file in one of the other programs, like in Photoshop or InDesign, or even the picture here, you can place the picture in actually in all three of them. You can place one picture inside Photoshop to create a layer document, or you can place it in Illustrator. You can place it right here in InDesign. So you have two options. And in this case, if you take a look at my links panel, these two graphics are actually linked to the external files. And that's an option you have. I can actually go here if I want. I can select it here, and I can go here on the little menu, and I can see embed. Then it breaks the links to that external file. It actually moves that whole graphics inside the InDesign document. I'm not depending on that external file anymore. There are advantages and disadvantages of both methods. So, and it works like this. You know, when this example is InDesign, but it actually works the same for all the other, the other two programs. You basically place it in here, and it creates a link. And InDesign will even display a little link symbol at the top of the image frame to show you that. And now there's actually an array of different icons you can get if they're like actually a little cloud symbol if the picture is in the Creative Cloud library or in the stock Adobe stock program.
What's the red dotted line mean?
Huh?
What does the red dotted line mean?
That's animation. That's a movement of it's just like me dragging this picture and placing it on the page. It's supposed to be like moving. So, and then is links. And one problem when you link is that if somebody moves or renames this picture, or you move the InDesign file to a different computer or whatever, you will get a broken link, and you will have problems. Sometimes that is not a big problem because, like, you just the picture is on the server at work, and you just took your laptop at home, and of course you get, when you open up the file, you get all these broken links, and you can continue working. It's all fine. It's because when you get back to work, they will relink to all those, if they're still in the same folder. And so why don't we embed everything? Well, because the disadvantage of that is the file size. You will, well, that's the first problem with it, because if it's a lot of pictures, your InDesign file or any file, any of these three programs, the file will just grow and grow. And also, there's another problem. What if you want to edit that picture? You want to make a change to the picture itself. Having them external like this you can actually open these files in like Photoshop and edit them. And InDesign will know because it will display a little yellow triangle up there and say the file is updated. Do you want to update, and get the changes? And of course, if the link is broken, you will get a red warning sign up there. So this is just, we're going to make this little presentation available for you on the web page. So you don't have to try to, I'm not going to even try to read it, but there is a system here. You can actually import Photoshop files, Illustrator files, and PDFs into Photoshop. You can, all of them can be imported into Illustrator. But InDesign is like, yeah, Photoshop files, Illustrator files, even InDesign files can be placed inside an InDesign and PDFs. There are limitations. You can actually copy a vector shape from Photoshop and paste it in InDesign, given that you pasted it Illustrator in the meantime. So it's a lot of details here that we don't really have to mess with. But that's the world we're in, and that leads me to the final point here, and that is that there's a lot of moving back and forth here. I can take a picture, place it in Illustrator, and convert it to vectors. It's called tracing. It'd be great fun if it's like a portrait. I can, more importantly, well, depends on your workflow, of course, the task, but if I'm working with like a logo here or an icon for an app or something, I would prefer to make it in Illustrator because it's resolution independent. Then I can export it to pixels for use on the phone or on the web page or whatever. So there's a lot of things. That's one of the things we're going to look at in all these three programs. How can you export, assets from Photoshop? How can you export assets from Illustrator? How can you export assets from InDesign? So there's a lot of ground to cover. So I guess I better move on here and see if I can. I think I'm going to start here in. I'm going to start with Photoshop. Yeah, and no. I'm saying it wrong. I'm going to start with InDesign. So here's my, and the first thing I want to talk about is the user interface. So some of these changes, or almost all of them, will actually apply to much more than just the one program. So I have some screenshots here, just to let you know, let you see some of the differences. This is the eye strain things they were doing. They've changed. They've redesigned every. They have redesigned every panel and every dialog box in all the programs. And this is before and this is after. This is before and this is after. So they made them bigger. So in order to to make it.
Is the content the same? I can't see it, but is the content the same, or is it all?
It looks identical to me. I haven't really studied all of them, but it's supposed to be identical. They're all supposed to be, but they're supposed to be. There's going to be more space, more space between each item, easier to see on those high resolution Retina displays and stuff. But I have a high resolution here on my notepad, but I switched it back to regular HD. Oh no, here we go again. I didn't touch it. Yeah, let me just wiggle that thing a little bit here and see if I can make it come back again. All right, let's hope it doesn't continue to do that, because then we're going to be here till tomorrow morning. Or I am. Come on. It's like it's almost there. All right. So you better prepare to do a raffle or something. I hope. It is my computer. Well, it is the HDMI port, actually. I'm not going to touch anything.
Computer one.
It is my computer. Donna.
We're back. You back, Donna? Yeah.
We're back.
Back online?
Keep going.
And it is the port of my computer. It broke, and it's like very, very wiggly. All right. So that's just some of it, and I because I don't have the previous version installed in my system, I just wanted to show you here this thing real quick, and it's before and after. It is visible in a couple of other contexts. I mean, other places as well. So I'm just going to do. Let me do Tom. I love this command. It says, you should all create your own workspaces, right? And I named them different here depending on what I'm working with. But I got this like default one, and then I can, as opposed to real life, I can go here and then reset Tom, which is a cool thing because I wish I could do that in real life as well sometimes. But so it tidies up the user interface. But anyway, there's a lot of new things when it comes to and I'm going to go here to the preferences. If you're on the Mac, the preferences is on the InDesign menu. But if I go in here, you see you have something called the Start Workspace. You have the Recent Files workspace. You can turn them on and off here, but you can still access them if you want, even if you turn them off. But the other one that they added recently is this one, large tabs. You see the it's the size of the tabs. It's a little thing as that. Some people think this the new thing with a little more space is very pleasant to the eye. But of course, when they introduce something new, they will have to make it possible to turn it off. And then you got this one. So you got the old one, the tiny typed ones. And of course, you can go up here. You're probably familiar with this. This has been around for a while. You can change the user interface to dark. And I think personally, it's very hard to see on a projector when you do it dark. So, and I'm used to the light because, like I said, I've been working. It used to be the only option. So, so this is my preference. But you can also do this: the match pasteboard to theme color. That's in InDesign. That's the space around your page. If you want it colored or not. If I OK this, I can still, because I'm in preview mode now. So you see the white space around here. It's all up to you. But this one you can actually change from here. If you right-click, you can turn that thing on and off. I like to be able to tell the difference whether I'm in normal view or preview, so I leave it like that. And besides, that's the way it used to be in CS6, so that's the way I want it. But it's all up to you, basically. Let me see. And because I'm on a touch screen, of course, there's a. Well, let me tell you this. I'm getting used to the start screen. I'm very surprised that I'm even saying that because I didn't like it to begin with. But if I say, but you can't, and the worst thing about it, you can't access it. It's over here, and it's grayed out because I can't go back to my start screen. Are you using Acrobat? When they introduced the DC version, you get the home screen there, which was very annoying to begin with. But now I'm totally using it all the time. Why didn't they do that? Because in Acrobat, the home screen is always available. You think about that. Whereas over here, because I can go to the home screen whenever I want. And I can access all my recent files here and even display them as thumbnails and everything. That is actually a cool idea. And I have my documents over here, but not in the other programs. So in order to get to the start screen, I will have to close my document, and that is totally counterproductive, if you ask me. So I'm going to save it, look, just to see, because now it should pop up. There we go. There it is. And I can switch to thumbnail view here. I can look at recent files. I only have one because I reset my program before I started today. But this is, and even if you're here, you can go back and just switch to any of the other ones and remove it. But anyway, what you do have, I'm going to open up that file again because I think they should have done it. I mean, more like a home screen. But they did introduce something called Recent Files Panel or Workspace, which is sort of the same. This was a very big edition of it, but it's basically pops up like a little panel over here, but it does more or less the same. So why do they create two of them? I don't even know. But what I do, because I like, well, if I'm beginning to like that start screen, I can actually change. I can make my, I can make it as big as I want. See, now it looks like the start screen, you know. And if you do something like this, and you can even pull it out and have it free floating, and you can make that part of your workspace if you save your workspace. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That sounds great. And I can even minimize it here if I click these two little guys, you know. So I can have it accessible right here if I want. So, and then I can completely forget about that start screen because this will become my start screen. All right. So, well, and like I said, if you don't like them, and a lot of people don't, so just go here in the general. Just turn it off and leave that one off and say, okay, sometimes some of the programs will have to restart the program for that to take effect. But normally it's okay like this. So that's about user interface. And finally, I'm going to reset myself here again. Over here, where did I go? Here and there we are. So finally, about the user interface, and it won't be complete unless you see this little button I have up here? I'm all the way up there. My bet is none of you have that button. It's the touch. It's the touch interface. Look, behold, InDesign, like you've never seen it before. And I'm going to create a new document here, and that's a new document dialog, by the way, in this new touch. So I'm just going to let me do iPad landscape.
Which one is the touch interface?
You have to have a touch screen. And you're on the Mac, so there are no Macs with touch screens. This is something they developed for the Microsoft Surface specifically, but it also works. Well, it's like paving the way for an iPad version of InDesign, I think. But it's like an experimental thing. This is not. I've been trying to find like the productivity enhancement side of this, and I can't find it. But it's fun. So, and you cannot really see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to, without wiggling the table, try to do something here. And well, this is the new tool, the coolest tool actually, the one I have selected over there. It's like a drawing tool, and I can just use my finger. And if you're on a surface, you can use the pen as well. So if I want to make a frame, I can just draw a frame, and it becomes an image frame. Or if I want a frame with rounded corners, I can do something like this, and it will actually have. It should have. I can't even see them. It does have rounded corners, small ones. Okay, so, and of course I could use the keyboard. I mean, it's not like turn the keyboard off, so I can go here and select stuff and just delete it. I'm sure there's a trash bin here somewhere for me to delete stuff. And then, still using this tool, I can actually, if I go here and I create a frame like this, and a little dot there, it should become a title frame. And I can make the title frame larger. And you see it already, it's instantly filled with placeholder text. And see that? Oh no, you didn't, this is the, oh no. I'm sorry. You know, nothing is moving over here. It's so little, it's so tiny, tiny little. Donna, there's nothing they can do. It's my computer, it's my laptop. Yeah, I'm going to try to not really touch.
Wait for it to go to computer one, because that should work.
Excuse me?
When it switches from HDMI, like when it gets to computer one, that's the like that.
Well, the point is that is a bad content, bad, you know, it doesn't really fit. So, and I have this slider over here. I'm going to change this font size. So, and of course I can go here, and if I go like this, I want to make a text frame here. I just put the text in there, so it'll fill here, and I still got this, you know. And I can, of course, I can select the if I want to make a placeholder frame, I can do this one, or I can do this one, but I can do all kinds of gestures, you know. I can actually even draw. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Go back to this tool. You know, I can do all kinds of Yeah, that was that's going to be a circle. No, I got it. Okay, yeah, it was working. It's better. It's really working really well.
If you draw a circle, will it draw a circle?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a kind of a circle. So, well, and I can do, if I want to make sure it ends up as a picture frame, I can do this, and I just do this to say this is going to be a picture, you know. And I have access to my CC libraries, and I was working on an ad for a nail salon, so let's, I just have to tap it, actually. So,
I love how beautiful is in the description of that picture, like portrait of a beautiful blank.
All right, and I didn't put that description there. It comes from, this is from my Adobe stock, actually. So I can double tap here to get the contents, you know, like this. And well, this is not like, it's fun, like I said, but I failed to see the productivity.
I guess if somebody that doesn't have a mouse, or somebody that doesn't have a mouse.
It's fun, and it is a bridge towards especially Adobe Capture, Adobe Capture, the free app for your iPad. I hope they make it, you know, that we get it for the Android soon.
Is that for like an iPhone, just tapping, or for iPad?
This is only for touchscreen enabled PCs. And then you get it, you don't have to turn it on, you get it. And you see I can switch here, the little icon up here at the top right. I can just switch back to the other user interface, and I can work normal. You know, it's a normal document. But it is cool, and I'm happy, well, and I'm hoping this will still be working. But I'm really, really happy you got to see it, because, well, what you can do, you know, I've been looking for stuff like I want 2 columns here, you know, I switch back to the touch interface. But you can't. But the shortcut for, you know, for the text frame options is still working. So I can do it like that. I mean, I can use the in combination like that. So so there you go. There might be a way to split one text frame into columns here that I'm not aware of, but well, there might be. Okay, so there you go. So I'm going to close this one too, and I'm going to just start with my. There's a number of smaller features. This is like a biggie if you have the right equipment and the right hardware. But there's a lot of minor or well, it's what it is when you get the updates so frequently, you know. So in the October November edition of Photoshop of InDesign, you got enhancement to the footnote function, you know, footnotes, you know. So I'm going to go as quickly as I can through a few of those smaller, you know. It's not like this is not like a deal breaker for anybody wanting to. Should I start using the program or not? Should I start using footnotes? And the problem. Let me show you the problem. I can insert a footnote in any text frame. You know, I just place my cursor. I'm right over there. And of course, you go here on the type menu and you say insert footnote. It's not even got the 3 dots, so it's not going to be a dialog box or anything. It will just insert a footnote. And I can start over here. And of course, I can go to the footnote options and style them if I want. You know, the document footnote options, and I can go even here and if I have predefined a little paragraph style, you know, make it smaller and stuff like that, you know, that's pretty good. But this is taking too much space, you know. Let's say I have a long footnote here, and you get a problem because you see it's actually pushing text over to the other side, to the next page. What I want, and that's what we got in November. You can't approach the span the footnote over several columns. And it's right there in the same place. You can go here and you can say document footnote options. Go to the layout tab, and it's as simple as this: span footnotes across columns. So there you go. And I turn on preview so you can see that it's working. So how cool is that? I don't know. And for those who've been using footnotes and been wanting this, it's a big thing, obviously. But for, well, most of us, it's just like, okay, so now we know. And then the cool thing is actually you can actually use this on individual text frame. Because when you turn it on like I did, if I go to the next page here, see if I can find the keyboard, go to the next page. If I add a footnote over here, it will actually use the same settings, you know, and that's probably a good thing. It's a document-wide setting. So if I insert another one here, it will actually span as well. But you can actually, if you select the text frame, you can go in here and you can go, you see this one is new, the Footnotes tab up here, and you can enable overrides, you know, and you can actually turn that off for that individual text frame. So it's pretty flexible. So why didn't we have this from the start? I have no idea, but we have it now, and those who've been wanting it are hopefully very, very happy. They are having a party. They've been partying for a month now. All right. So let me, another thing, and I have been missing this thing because you have it in Illustrator. So those of you who prefer Illustrator to InDesign, you know, you're probably going to laugh. But if I use a lot of arrows. When one of my books is about InDesign, you use screenshots, you look at arrows, you know, trying to describe all the parts of the screen or a panel or stuff like that. So I need arrows, you know. So if I want an arrow pointing from here to over there, I can go in here in the stroke panel, and I can select an endpoint, like an arrow, and I can select, if I want, it's optional, like a start point. So that's like the end, and the beginning and the end of the path. So, but the only way until last month, the only way I could influence the size of the arrow and the other thing is by increasing or decreasing the point size, which is, you know, it doesn't really look good. So this is what we got. We got these little guys, you know. I can actually scale them independently. So now I can scale this one, and I can scale this one, and of course I can link them together too, so they will, you know. So that makes that tiny little function goes from, like, I was making my arrows in Illustrator, but now I'm going to make them here instead, you know. So, and another cool thing is I can of course change the color if I want, and add all kinds of effects and stuff. And then I can go over here and just create an object style, which is the way to go. And of course, this new feature is, let me call this Arrowhead. Well, that was an interesting spelling. I think I know how to do it, something like that. And I make sure that it's applied to the selection. That's a good thing to do that, because it will just take whatever styling is on that object and store it in an object style. So, which means I can reuse it, you know, and even update them globally. So even if I want to use my pen tool here now and create something like this, I can just go here and you know, use that same styling. And of course, it goes for all kinds of you know, all kinds of paths actually. So I can even go like this and point to this person up here if I want, you know, and do it like that. So that's cool. But I said all kinds of paths. But what if I create like a closed path? And you see, there's no start point or end point on a closed path. So what I need to do then is actually go here, and I can cut it open. You know, if I go here, where's my little knife? That's my scissors. You know, so if I cut it open right here, you see, I get it still. So I can go here and actually select that endpoint if I want, if I manage, and I can, you know, well, almost there. There you go. So, you know, you can even use closed path, but you have to open them, you know, and then you can go here and shape that thing or whatever you want it to be. So there you go. And it's not a very big thing, I guess, but it's a cool thing. And of course, the new feature, the new sizing, scaling of the arrowheads can also be stored in an object style, which is the way to go, because the good thing about style, as you probably know, you can redefine the style, and all the instances of everything that's using that style will be updated. So it's over here, and you see the new scaling thing is actually here. So now I'm actually scaling all the start points, here, and I can even change the symbol if I want. And if this is like a 256-page textbook, and you decided all those were a little bit too big or a little bit too small, of course it's cool to go here. You can just go in and change them. So it's another little thing. It's a cool little thing.
Can you do that in Illustrator?
They have a similar function. It looks. It's not exactly the same, but it looks the same. Yes, you can. You've been able to do that in Illustrator for a long time, actually. All right. So next little thing. Oh yeah, it's a tiny little thing, but it's actually kind of interesting. New sorting options in the Swatches panel. You want to sort them. You usually just drag them up and down here, and you can create your own manual sorting. Now you can go here and sort by name or by color values. Which is, some people have been wanting this for such a long time, and now they finally got it. You can still override it and change it again if you want, but if you want to, that's another tiny little thing that took them probably 22 minutes to put into the program, but it's a problem with engineers over at Adobe, and this is official news. Nobody wants to do stuff like that. This is too small. No. I want to make like a big new thing. So at least once a year, a couple of times a year, they do actually have a what's it called, LDI days, Let's Do It Day, and those days nobody is allowed to do big stuff. Everybody will be assigned one tiny little thing like this. So that's the Let's Do It Day. Yeah. So I'm going to close this one. I'm not going to save it. I haven't really contributed much to that file. I have the end file here, and it's just the same file with all the edits already done. And I'm going to use this for my final little, if I can get to the next page here, next spread. For some reason the shortcut's not working. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about OpenType. And there's another little new thing you'll notice. When I select my text frame here, I get, we have all these little adornments, little yellow, a little blue thing, and two little white ones, and all the handles and everything. And so we have something kind of popping up here as well. And that's the OpenType. That's the OpenType setting. So you can now click. No, I can see it blinking. So no. This is going to slow me down a little bit. I know when I get it back working, I'm going to try to fast forward over to Illustrator as soon as I can. Come on. Thank you. Let me do this real quick. The cool thing is, if you're using OpenType fonts, can have a lot of functionality built into them beyond the shape of each letter. They have contextual alternates and all kinds of things. And now you can actually turn it on. And the cool thing is, it's actually highlighting the letters that will be changed when you turn it on. And this particular font has so many weird shapes and fonts, it actually ruins the whole thing. But it's a preview. It's easy access. If you wanted to do it before, you had to go here, character panel, the panel menu, the OpenType, and the submenus. And you wouldn't even know what function will apply to this particular font. So, but they're still here, and actually the brackets here will actually indicate that they're not available. But how much cooler is it? Actually easier to use when you can do this, and these are actually applicable to this particular font. So that's cool. But you can go further. You can actually select, like, let me see, do we have an E here at the end of a word? Yeah, like this one. You see the little blue underline? It indicates that there are alternative versions of that. So I can actually change it here, Put a little, like, you got start and end adornments in some fonts, not all fonts. But when you select one, you see, even this one has actually, I can have the Y go the other way. Isn't that cool? You know, so it's no guessing anymore. I mean, if you really want to know what can I do with this letter, well, select it, and you see, well, nothing. You know, because there's only one. And you can go over here and you can say, well, there's actually 2 different R's. You know, but there's no way to know. Well, there used to be no way to know. So, well, anyway, you see the ligatures as well. It's really, really cool. You see the OO ligature. Those are open type ligatures. They're not like regular ones. So some fonts will have them, some fonts will not, but with the new interface. And this is actually more or less applicable to Illustrator and Photoshop as well. So I'm going to skip that part of the demonstration for those 2 other programs. And so I'm going to close this one. And I think we're going to move on to, well, let me do the outline real quick for you, because if you're not familiar with this way of working, you might like it. This is just a little tip, actually. The purpose is to give me a file I can export as pixels from InDesign, but let me just show a little trick. Sometimes I get a job to create a logo or a little poster or something, where I can pick and choose the font, all from anything. You don't really have like a design handbook or anything that will tie you to a particular font. I put the font in there, the text in there, and in a huge, nice, spacious text frame, I select the text frame. You can select the text with the type tool, but it's more fun if you do it this way. And then you can just pick a place to start here in the font list, wherever you want to go. And then you can actually use you have to click in here. And then you can use the arrow keys to flip through real quick, flip through all the fonts that are installed on your system. And that is cool, because you know more or less instantly if you're onto something. I like this one. Well, not that one, but so you see one you like. What I do, I just copy that text frame and I go back and I keep going. So it's like a creative process. I think for that kind of company, you need something like this. I'm not sure, but anyway, this function, the flipping through the font list with your arrow keys on the keyboard, you can do in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. It works exactly the same way. And what I want to do, I just want to settle for this one, the Bauhaus, good old Bauhaus. Designed by Ed Bengat in the 70s. Of course, based on the Bauhaus in Germany from the 30s, but that's another story. So if I want to, this could be a nice logo, but I want to change something. I don't like all the shapes of all the letters. What you do, you go up here and you just, on the type menu, and it says create outlines, like this. It will render your text as text uneditable. It will cease to be text. It will actually pull out the vectors from the font and create editable shapes right here inside InDesign. And by the way, of course, you can do this in Illustrator. I could have done exactly the same thing in both programs. But in InDesign, you have an added little feature, because I never throw anything, not even in my garage on my attic. So it's totally full of garbage. But anyway, I don't throw anything away here either. So I always make a copy first. I don't want to lose the editability of this text frame. But if you use the Alt key, if I use the Alt key when I select the create outline, this is a more or less undocumented feature. It will actually create outlines, but it will keep the original frame. But I still need to move it out of the way. But here's my outlines. And if I switch to like the white arrow, you will actually see it. I can see all the. It's not text anymore, and I can select these 2 anchor points and move them like this, for instance, and I can mess with them. One day I'm going to prepare for that and show that as well. I can go like this. If the new recently updated Walmart logo is actually Minion Pro, but most of the letters are like rounded down here, So they did something like this, in the creative process. So they took the font they liked, and then they just went in here and altered it. So if I want, let's say I want rounded here on top. I don't want to, I could select these two anchor points and convert them to smooth points. You do that, in InDesign you do that in the Pathfinder panel. I can go down here and actually change them, but you see that will alter the change probably a little bit too much, or maybe not. I mean, if you like that one, you're good. But you know what I want to do? I want to just add. I just selected. You can select more than one anchor point. I just selected a drag select with a white arrow, and every anchor point inside that marquee will be selected like that. So no, both of them are selected. And at the bottom here, the Pathfinder panel, you can convert between smooth points and corner points and everything here in the program. Yeah. So it's worthwhile checking out if you're into playing around with vector shapes. But what I want to do is actually, I'm going to deselect here, and I'm going to use my pen tool and just want to add a point. Well, in this program, you need to select the path first. So if I use the pen tool and I click on a path where there is no anchor point, I will actually add an anchor point. And with that selected, I can make that, well, I can actually move it if I want. That will be a corner point. But then I can turn this one into a smooth point and play with the handles here, or some people call them arms, handles, or the correct name is supposed to be direction lines. So that's a lot of fun. Of course, you can add outline to all this and play with the colors and everything. I'm going to leave it at that. So it's not looking all that interesting, but so I'm just going to save my file, and then I'm going to, of course, I could export this as a PDF or any format you want and retain the vectors. But if I want to use it on the web, I will have to use export, and that's a huge dialog box, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. And you see from InDesign, you can actually export to Jpeg and PNG as well. You know, you can select all these formats, but if you want to use it on the web, and by the way, you can actually, that will export the whole page. But if you select one or more objects, you can actually export only those objects. So if I'm selected now, and I'm going to go back here and select export. It's Command or Control E. And I'm going down here. And if I wanted transparent background, I will have to use PNG because JPEG doesn't support transparency. So that will be creating logo, PNG, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to jump over to, I got the little dialog box, yeah. And here, actually, the resolution does make a difference, but I'm not going to go there at this point and explain why. So let me just do it here, because this is converting 2 pixels, you know. So here it is. It doesn't display, so it's pretty good. It's actually pixels. So if I zoom in here now, you will sooner or later see the pixels, yeah, right here. But since I selected 300, it created a lot of pixels. All right. No, this is all done in InDesign. Yeah, I just selected, since I've selected that object, I didn't get the rest of the page. You can select one or more objects and just, if I open this one in Photoshop, you'll see that it's not transparent. It should be transparent, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm running out of time already, so I'm just going to keep going here and try to cover as much ground as I can. It's okay. Let me, there's a couple of more things to talk about in, I'm seriously running out of time, aren't I? But anyway, let's just keep going. Let me do one last thing. Yeah, that's what we always say, isn't it? But I mean, this is fun. This is fun. So let me do this real quick. Let me. I'm still in InDesign, and I want to open up the info panel because I want to know. I want to answer Veronica the question: what's the resolution of this image? And in InDesign, if you select a pixel graphics. Remember, only pixel graphics have a resolution. You will actually see here displayed in the info panel. It will say actual PPI, which is nothing. of importance. That's what is defined inside the file, and I tried to, explain that earlier. That doesn't really matter. That just governs the initial size if you just click the image in here. But here's this effective PPI. Effective PPI. That's the number you should care about, and that should be, at least 300. It depends on if it's a rougher kind of paper, not as good quality, you can get away with 200, like in a newspaper. This is glossy, nice little thing, publication. You should do like Veronica says and do at least 300. Or ask the print shop, which is the best option anyway. But see what's happening here. Let me just try to explain what's happening here. If I make this picture smaller, what would you expect to happen to these numbers? Yeah. Which one of them? Well, let's see. It's the effective, because the what they call actual is what is defined inside the file. See what's happening? Well, it's not happening yet. It should happen in real time, but let's see what's happening here. Well, you see it when I let go of the mouse. Usually it's real time, but you see now it's 540. Effective PPI 540. Remember, the number of pixels are obviously the same because it's the same file it's linked to. The file doesn't change, but I'm making it smaller. Hence, there will be room for more pixels within 1 inch, right? So, but I could go the other way in this case, and I can go the other way. Usually that number will update as you drag, but my poor little laptop is a little under pressure here. So I can go all the way up to 300. So effective is 300, but that will give me the maximum size I can print this picture in this little publication. Okay. So I'm going to undo here all the way back. And then I'm going to leave InDesign here. I'm going to move on to the next program. And I'm going to just quick and dirty publish this nice little postcard. It's a postcard, front and back page. I'm going to publish online. See this publish online button? That's one of the things that have been evolving from every little upgrade we had now. Come on, I've done it before, so please don't tell me how to do it. There we go. So you got this little button. For a long time it was like an experimental function, like a technology tryout thing. Now they took away that temporary label on it, so it's actually permanent. And what's going to happen is they're going to have me just put this publication on the web and give me a URL so I can share it with anybody. I can add like a title. I can add a message here, like I want to show my latest version of a magazine to my client, and I don't want to send PDFs in the email, or I want to do this, right? That's the way we work with the little handbook here. If you want to take a look at that little artist handbook later, that's the way we work. Because, and that's when I started using this function at all. When we got this, but it wasn't there earlier. Because you had to get a new URL every time, which was, of course, useless. But now you can actually, if you have published it before, you can actually update that same URL, and you can publish, go in an ad or whatever, use that URL. But all you have to do is go here and click publish, and it will start uploading. And I deliberately chose a very small file that hopefully doesn't take the rest of the day. There we go, I'm done. I got the URL here already. I can copy it now if I want to email that to somebody, or I can click here, view document, and we'll open up that in on the Adobe web page. So it should open up my default browser and open up that URL.
How secure are those?
Well, basically very unsecure. This is for sharing.
Okay.
This is for sharing. I'm not sure I don't think they can change it. I don't think they can change it. But nobody will guess the URL. Look at the URL. Nobody will guess that URL. So it's reasonably, you will not stumble over this. But if you, at a regular page, create a link to this, or even better, you can get embed codes here and actually embed this file inside a regular web page. Of course, everybody will be able to see it. But this is for sharing. This is not for, oh no, here we go again.
So you could embed that in the web page and then you don't have the problem with PDF.
Yes, no PDFs.
No.
This is HTML5. And by the way, you do have animation functions in InDesign and interactivity and video. You can add videos here. You can actually stream video from another source like YouTube and everything. So I apologize for this, but my HDMI contact is actually been physically damaged. But usually when I fix it like this, it will give me a stable picture. Just have to wiggle it a little bit until it comes back. No, it's actually, oh, there we go. Ooh, thank you. Oh, yeah, great. Well, this is cool, and this is, of course, a little bit even cooler if it's a multi-page publication, you know. But there is an interface that comes out of the box. You get little thumbnails here of all the pages in your publication. You get a little menu over here. You can get the share code, the embed code. It's not here. I don't know why the embed code went away. But you get the URL here if you want to make it public. You can actually even, I didn't talk to that, but you can actually check one thing, allow people to download a print PDF at the same time. So it will actually give you both this online version and then a print PDF. So that is published online. And once you've done it once and you make changes to it and you want your client or your readers or whoever you're communicating with to see the updates, you just go in here and you do the publish online again, and you just select update, and then you select one of the files that you have as published before, and it will update it. And there's a lot of things to play around with here. You can actually set image quality, which will come into effect if people use big screens. You know, that's when you need extra pixels. It governs the number of pixels that will be generated. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to end my little InDesign presentation. Let me rush over to Illustrator here and see what we can do. Most importantly, in the new version of Illustrator, it's the templates. And you access the templates very, very easily, and you might have discovered them already, because if you go here and select File New, you know, you create a new document. You don't have to select from template. It opens up a completely redesigned, totally new new dialog box, new document dialog box. It will give you a list of recent files here. You can actually make it bigger too, I think. You're supposed to. No, for some reason they won't let you scale that one. But anyway, documents you've been working with recently. But then you can browse here, and that is. All these templates are online and downloadable and free. Well, interestingly enough, they say they're free, which, you know, indicate that they probably won't be forever, or they will add, you know, templates for purchase. No. All right. I'm trying not to touch anything, but there's cables everywhere. Let's do that little wiggle thing again. And hopefully it will. See that? Yeah, you see that little flicker when it connects. Oh. Yeah, this is awkward.
Do you have a little smooth line?
No, unfortunately not. This is a tiny little micro HDMI, and because I couldn't get the HDMI cable to work on the projector, I'm actually converting it to VGA. So, well, anyway, let's hope it comes back. So, only those of you who might have Illustrator on a computer in front of you can browse those new templates, and it's a lot of them. You know, because it's the signal from the laptop that comes and goes, unfortunately. Can you edit the recording of this and remove all that? All right, here I am. Let me just do this real quick. If I want to it's actually nice to browse around here. There's a lot of stuff. And if you find one you like, let's say I go to print here, you see you get the usual sizes, and you can even click here to view all presets, and you will get a longer list. But these are probably the most interesting ones, because you can go down here, and here's, for instance, like a simple business card. And when you select somebody you haven't used before, like this one, you will get a download button here. And because I cheated before, you see this one is already downloaded, so I can just open it. I don't have to wait for it to download. So it will open up that document, and it's a lot of instructions in here. So and always when I look at files somebody else has created, I look in the layers panel first of all. See how they organize the information here. And you see it's very cool because they do have a separate layer with instructions. These are the green line is the safe zone. This is like a business card. So that's a safe zone. You should keep all text inside that area, the green line. The dotted line is the final cut, trim size of the card, and the red is the bleed line. So, of course, you're going to hide that layer before you print anything. And then you can just go on here and update all the text, and then you have a very nice business card. And, of course, you're free to change anything, colors, fonts, and move stuff around. So
Do you take those lines for the client? Or you take off one of the three lines, the borders?
One line?
Do you take off one of the lines for the client, or you, like the bleed line or the?
Oh, no, it's for the printer.
Yeah.
When you create a PDF here for printing, you have to include because this is the final size of the business card. You have to include everything up to that red line. It's called bleed. You just include the bleed in the PDF, and you add crop marks automatically as well. That's for the printer. Mm-hmm. The client or the end user or the final card will be trimmed down to this.
That way the lines go along with the colors.
Yeah. Just to make sure there's no gap.
The red line is for the printer. The one inside that one is.
This is the well. It's easier over here. So this is the actual card.
Oh, okay.
The black line. And this is just a guide to help you extend any object that's going to image or color background that extends to the end of the paper will have to extend beyond that. So it's just a bleed line. It's all set up for you, and you actually have an explanation here. If you turn on this, you see that there's actually instructions over here. So it's probably better than what I ever said. So here we go. So that's a cool thing, and there's literally hundreds of templates, so you can explore. And so I need to move forward here anyway, but it is cool to explore. Same thing goes for Photoshop. Hope I get around to showing you a couple of them as well. Well, type enhancements in Illustrator are exactly the same or very similar to those in InDesign. You don't have the little adornment on the text frame, but you can select individual characters and you will get the alternates. Okay. We have live shapes. I'm going to show you real quick what the enhancements are. No, I'm not. It's just a look of them, actually. Let me move on to this instead, because now we're getting to the topic of today, vectors and pixels. This is actually Adobe's official demonstration files. This is a real publication. It's like Jules Verne, the French author. It's a poster, and these are a lot of vectors. So it's actually very cool. This is the big one. The big R4 is supposed to be a poster, and the other ones are supposed to be coasters, as far as I understand. And there's a lot of cool things to say about the way the layers here have been organized as well, because you can actually hide the background here, and you will see that the symbols here are separate or created on separate layers. So it's easy you can actually select parts of this if you want to repurpose some of parts of this. It's easy to access here. And you see these. You can. Looks like that. It's a lot of vectors, but still, it's a lot of details. It's very pretty, actually. And when they limit the colors like that, it's kind of cool. So, but think about this. If you want to repurpose this and use it on the web, how are these items going to work as pixels? So I'm going to try to show you at least 2 or 3 different ways to export this for use, like in an app or on the web or whatever. So convert to pixels. So let me open up this one, because that will illustrate the point here a little bit better. So this is just one part of them, this little chip. And we do have, so these are vectors, and it's obvious they're vectors. These are the outlines, and these are the fills and colors. And I do on the view menu, because a lot of people prefer to create their interactive assets in Illustrator, like I said, because it's resolution independent, but you have to convert it to pixels. That's why you have a pixel preview in Illustrator. And it will actually show you what it might look like when you export it. And this is not looking good. You got the anti-aliasing here. You got the, you should probably be able to do better. And it actually shows you pixel grid, which you can find when you set up your document in Illustrator. Even though they're still vectors, I can still go.
Where's the toggle?
Oh, it's the View Pixel Preview. It's right here. But one of the new things they have done for us, you can actually try to move it around. You will see that the edges here will actually change when you move it around, because it will be re-rendered to match that pixel grid. And that's a problem, obviously. So what did they do to help us? Well, it's, let me see if I remember where it is. Look at that command. How cool is that? Make pixel perfect. Make pixel perfect. See what happened? Well, I'm going to select it now. So what's the boat? What's the ship? Oh, see, it snaps to the grid, and you see there's no anti-aliasing here.
Do the before again, so I can see it again.
Yeah,
Go back.
yeah. That's before, and that's after. Big difference, huh? And you can't even, I mean, you can do it manually and keep going until you have it right, but this is so cool. So that is that should be turned on. And it will be in effect. You can actually turn it on like snap to pixel grid. I think it's here on the view menu somewhere, snap to pixel grid. So you here, snap to pixel. So whenever you just keep working in the normal view, and that they will always snap to that pixel grid. So let me go back here. There's 2 new commands that are very, very useful when exporting stuff for use in pixels, I should say. One is the export as command. You do have the save for web. I probably should not ignore the save for web. That's the legacy one. The one we used before. Is a wonderful function. See, they're nagging me to not use it. Use the other one. So, but this is where you can work like in Photoshop too. You can go in here. You get a preview. You can play around with different settings and JPEG this, JPEG that. No, I don't like this one. Stuff like that. And you can just export it in that format. So I just want to mention that. So it's still there, but they hidden it. But then you can do the export as, which no, that's not the one we want.
What's the export for screens?
Oh, that's the one I want. Thank you. I'm just blind. Blindness will affect your eyes first. So be careful. So here it is. This is export for screen. Thank you. I appreciate that. So look at this. I could talk about this for quite a long time. You get all the artboards here, And you can, of course, you can just select and deselect whichever you want to do here, which you want. And then you can select over here, how many versions do you want? Do you want to create like a set of icons for iOS? You'll get all these guys. You want to do for Android, you get a few more, and they're like scaled down to 75%, 150, 200%, and everything. They will have these extensions. You can even, and you can go on here. So we'll be generating a lot of files. So what you do when you're done here and you're happy with the thing, you go here and you do, let's see, export, and it will create. I didn't choose a folder, so I probably should have always creating a Creative Cloud folder over there. You should probably pick it, sure you'll save it back to that one. All right. So of course this is 56 files, so that's a lot.
That's good if you're going to move out.
Yeah, and this will create like a package you can just hand off to the developers. Yeah. Let me see. Documents. Creative Clouds. Is that here? Sorry, can't find them. Okay, so I'll find them, but let me move on, because there's another interesting thing here, and that is let me see. Asset export. Asset export. That's a little panel. I'm going to move it over here so you can see it. So this is the asset export. It's a new panel. And the cool thing is you can actually select, what is this little animation? Is nagging here. So you can actually select stuff here. You can select individual objects, and you can just add them here to the export asset. You don't have to do the whole artboard or anything. And the cool thing is this will be stored inside your document. So if you go anywhere here and edit something, if you go anywhere and edit like a, well, I'm not going to do it, but if you edit like a fill color here, well, I can change it. You see the document, the item doesn't only change in the layout itself, it changes here in the assets panel as well. And if you go here and export, you will actually, well, if you go here and do the export for screen again, you see there's two parts to it. I can access the assets here or the artboards, So I can build this, and I can do the same thing, and I can export them, and this is where Adobe wants my files to go, so that's where they put them. So let me just go here and find them here. So yeah, there's a lot of other stuff here, but here's the ones that were generated the first time around. Different sizes of all these, all sizes of all my assets.
So did that picture there come from a template?
Oh, this is design. This is actually licensed from Adobe for demonstration purposes.
Oh.
It's a South African design company. I don't remember the name of them, but this is Adobe very strictly says I cannot distribute those files to anybody, even though anybody can download them from the web actually if they know where to look. But anyway, okay. So I think I'm gonna have to fast forward really fast because Donna will want me to stop any moment. So let me, yeah, let me do this. Let me do this. Workspaces. We talked about workspaces. We have a lot of cool little things in Photoshop. Content aware function has been extended. Now we can use it with the crop tool. With the crop tool. And when is that important? Well, if you have pictures like this where the photographer was like sliding over, the horizon is not straight. If you use the crop tool, you're all familiar with the content aware? It's content aware is it creates pixels that look like the missing pixels. So I'm just using the, no I'm not, that was the wrong tool. If I go here and select a little level up there, I can actually just drag in my picture and along the horizon, and it will, you know, correct it for me. But the problem is I lose stuff, you know. That's what Photoshop does by default. I don't want to lose stuff. I want to have the whole picture. So I'm going to extend my crop frame beyond that, like something like this, you know. This will be much better. You have to check it because it's not checked by default. You're checking it up here, kind of where at the tool option bar, and you click, and then they do their magic here and try to, well, my poor little laptop is very tired today, so we can watch the progress bar. As long as it's look at that, look at that. That is actually kind of cool. So that is before, and that is after. Come on. So that's one. That's cool. Let me do real quick a couple of more things. Yeah, I love this function. Let me just do one. It's match font. This is magic. Match font. This is incredible. Because you have the type kit available and they're all defined, you know, I can go here and select a part of my picture that contains text and see what's happening here. It's actually looking for fonts that resemble, that look like.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That
So
is a bit there.
yes, it analyzes the pixels
Uh-huh.
and it looks for shapes, and then it sends that over to Typekit. And these are the fonts that I have on my system that think resembles. But over here in the Typekit, there are even more. And a couple of them actually look very, very similar to that.
If you pick one of them and then you type CAFFE, it'll look like that.
Well, let's try it. I haven't tried. I have to select one here and say OK, because that means that font should be downloaded to my system. And I don't remember the name of it, so let's hope it. Shouldn't that be the default font? I think that. I can't see any on my letters. Is it too big?
Your font is still on there yet, so.
Oh, it does. Okay. Well, maybe I should have tried to. Maybe I should have tried to remember that font name. OK should be enough to download it, because you, like I said, Quimby.
Available on Typekit to download.
Oh, I have to remember the name and I have to download it. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. But this one, I think this one, these two are the most similar ones. I'm not
Or
sure.
you can pick the one that, you know, up there.
Yeah, that's already here on my system, so that's true. But it's like magic, and look at all these other files you can try and play around with, you know, and see what you get, what you want here. You know, it's a nifty kind of programming, I think, in here to make this happen. And you need to look at that. Find some that might, yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, let me just mention, I don't have time to show you this at this point, but you know, every new version of Photoshop for the last 12 years, I think, one of the biggest news is the functions to cut out complicated stuff like hair and fur and grass and leaves and stuff like that. This is a cool demonstration, but you know, it's like every 3 times a year. That is one of the best news. What they did this time, they actually changed the whole interface. But let's make that a topic for a future presentation, because this will take like at least 10 minutes to go through. But it has been enhanced, and they replaced that little Refine Edge panel with a whole new workspace. You know, so it's a big change actually. So okay, so let me just do. Photoshop has got multiple workspaces now. This is a huge file, by the way, so I should probably close some of them. Yeah, you got the guides here. Come on, please. So this is like a mock-up for a web page, and they created like different artboards here. There's a lot of things you can, and the artboards are just collections of layers actually. So the artboards are there's no separate artboard panel. They're all visible here. In the I know I touched the cord. I'm sorry. I was trying not to do that, but okay. But anyway, I'm gonna. I won't be able to say much about that file, but I was just making a bridge over to my next little thing I was going to show here. Oh, come on. There you go. See that little flicker, and then you know it's coming back. All right, so I open, instead of talking more about those artboards, I want to go here and actually look in Photoshop. You got templates too, so I can do mobile. I have this is my phone, it's sitting right over there, iPhone 6 Plus, and I can create something for that. And you see it creates an artboard. And I can name that artboard if I want. And artboard is just a thing in the layers panel. But if I add something here real quick, hello Austin Adobe users. So I have to keep this simple. I'm going to save my file. Not even sure if that is necessary, but I'm going to save it anyway. And oh, come on. Look at this new panel. I love this panel. It says a device preview. And it says check for devices. So let me pick a device. This only works with iOS stuff at this point. This is a preview app on iOS. It's free. See, it found my iPhone. We're on the same Wi-Fi network. That's all it takes, actually.
I think it works with Android too.
Oh, like you, with Photoshop?
That would Photoshop the Dreamweaver, but I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So you use this there.
So I got it right here. I got a preview here. So if I go here and if I type like experts instead, and I commit that change, it should actually update here. So that is live. And what I could do here is, of course, switch to the new artboard tool, and I can select that artboard, and I can.
It's using your Wi-Fi.
It's using Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's good.
So as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you'll install the app,
Right.
and you say I click the look for devices, it will match. You can use a cable as well if you want.
Which
USB.
app do you use on your phone?
Huh?
Which app is it?
It's called Adobe Preview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so I could go here, of course, using the artboard tool, and I can just go here and swap that one. Actually, I can make it even easier for myself. I'm going to undo that again, because if you see those little, pluses. I can add. If I use the Alt key, I will actually copy the contents as well. So it saved me a little space. It doesn't resize it, but if I can go here now, and of course go here and try to, change this. Oh, I didn't mean to rotate it. That will not make sense. Yeah, that's my whole point. Because now, when I save it now, I should be able to, let me see. It may or may not work. Need to go here and connect them again, I guess. Come on. Here we go. Here we are. And then I'm supposed to go this way. See, it picks the right one. Picks the horizontal one. I should probably put some different colors or something like that. I can even change the text. I can go here and change the text, and you'll see that they're actually different. It will pull the right one and display. So you can test run everything and anything. Okay. So I think we're about to get there. And Let me do one, please, please, Mama. Let me do one more. Come on. How often have you want to do something like this with your friends? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's called. This is one that's already been worked on. So let me do this. This is the before and after, but I'm gonna. Yeah. Let me just copy the before here and let me create a new file. Come on. Let me paste it there so I can show you. And it's liquid. This crazy thing is updating too. Everything I do is here. I guess it's over here as well. I was a little. This guy looking at me, you know. That is cool. I should probably do it like this. You can all be watching.
Right?
All right. So the function is view. No, it's filter liquify. Liquify has been there since beginning of time. Well, a long time anyway. But now you got face aware. Face aware. Look at the. If you hover over here, you can grab the eyes. You know, you can do this. But look at the interface over here. You know, do you want to change? And what's new this fall is you can do the eyes individually. You know, I can go here and make this eye bigger, and I can go. I think. See this eye. This, I can make this one smaller and this one bigger. Until a month ago, they will have to do the same thing, you know. Look at the nose. Look at here. I can go here and do nose height. I could do the width. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we want them wide today. And mouth. You want him to smile? No. Yes. No. Upper lip. I can shift it up and down. Look at this upper lip. Yeah, lower lip. No, I want a big one. No, I want a small one. How wide do you want the mouth? You know, you can do it over here as well because you can grab these little controls and you can have fun over here. But you can use the numerical values as well. All right. So. Yeah. Do you want a, you know, you want short combs or do you want Moriarty? You know, it's. Chin height.
Whoa.
And it recognizes all that just from the picture.
Yeah, it's face recognition software. That's the face width. This is so cool, you know. And it's cool. You can still use the manual, all the manual controls in here, you know, if you want. But this is cool. So yeah, there's ITIL. Where is it? Yeah, ITIL. Yeah, that's right. You can turn them around like this. So you can go like this and this. No, that's the wrong one. And you can. Yeah, this is incredible. So, all right, let's. And then it's you have that thing, and so this is before.
That's kind of freaky.
Oops.
Yeah.
This was wrong. Come on, let me redo it. Let me not have to. I don't want to do it again. Redo state change. Oh no. What you can do is you can just apply the last filter, and you'll get it. You know. So of course, what you should do if you convert your layer to a smart object before, it will be a smart filter. So it's non-destructive. You can turn it on and off. Here I go. I can. Oh, why am I doing it the wrong way? Shoot. Okay, I can do that thing there. And they changed the control command F shortcut now from apply the last filter to find. So I got to say that as well. Okay, that's a handsome man. I think I had to wrap it up there. Thank you for your time. This has been very fun. So thank you. Yeah. So, of course, now the projector is stable.